You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
It's called Reptilians. The Reptilians like to eat the animals of Earth, and occasionally enjoyed eating human flesh, too.
They brainwashed the Earthlings by using the name of God, when their true intentions were to invade and overtake the Earth.
But this was a violation of the Universal Code, which states that no planet should interfere with any other planet as long as its people live with the spirit of love and harmony.
They cunningly devised a plan that would not breach the Universal Code.
They brainwashed individuals and used them to instigate disorder in society. This gave the Reptilians a reason to interfere. They then intended to have their compatriots immigrate to Earth so they could control the planet before the space police interfered.
Angels smile upon those with positive thoughts, and negative thoughts will only attract those that are evil. Exploration of the right mind will lead you to enlightenment, whereas exploring the wrong mind will throw you into despair. But remember, even those who have fallen into hell are allowed to return to heaven as long as they recognize their mistakes and repent, because human beings are all children of God, and each one has Buddha nature within them.
By the CIA.
Well, before we say Hollywood was created by the CIA, I guess I should clarify because, you know, first off, you guys do know the Pentagon has a budget for film. Like, there's a whole department in the
Pentagon. Know that.
That's a fact. There you go. That's all you need to know. There's an entire department in the Pentagon. They get involved with films, and they get involved with films for the purpose of propaganda. They always have.
Hit certain people, and this was before we called things promotion and marketing. You know what I mean? That's Hollywood is not really there to entertain you. Like, that's great that that happens, but propaganda is something that is important to all civilizations.
What movies have
I
they
should have
produced?
said Pentagon instead of CIA. Tons of them. I should show you the list. You should pull it up.
I'm gonna
It's
Google it right now.
wild. Yeah,
Absolutely,
Pentagon
please.
Department for Hollywood. Tons of them.
I have to
Even
report this.
Transformers. Even Transformers, like, you know, because they're concerned about certain narratives. They get involved with, like, World War films, like, how are we telling a story about history? Usually it's because we're lying about what we did or trying not to make Americans aware of the crimes against humanity that we commit overseas, you know?
Yeah, the Pentagon has funded some films. Black Hawk Down, Red Dawn, GoldenEye.
The more you know. So now you understand your experience in theaters is what your government wants you to think. They want you to think that this is how things happen, and it's usually not at all how things have actually happened.
6 of the best movies made with help from the Department of Defense. This is military.
Yeah.
And that's why motion picture stars are called movie stars, because in the Bible, stars were referred to as lesser illuminaries. So these lesser illuminaries are working for the big Illuminati. So the big Illuminati are using the lesser Illuminati. The lesser illuminaries are just stars.
Now, we have pictures with the president with his hand stretched out, holding a red rose.
But I have about 15 major color pictures of communist leaders throughout the world holding a red rose in their hand. And these are from newspapers and magazines. I began to pick up on this because someone alerted me to it, that the symbol of the red rose implies not only socialism and communism, but a secret society operating behind socialism and communism that uses the red rose.
This way out Willie holding the rose. We find Khrushchev. We find
all the communist leaders,
all the communist leaders, and then we find the president of the United States over in his early years leading anti-American demonstrations in the Soviet Union.
Well, I know, but I'm saying that it's not enough to say these things. You really must show the pictures so that people will see that what we're talking about here are symbols and emblems.
Well, even Hitler used red and black, didn't he?
Yes, he certainly did.
If you are an open-minded person, chill with me for a second, because we're going to look at the hyperdimensional geometry of cathedrals. Cathedrals were built by the Knights Templar, who later evolved into the Freemasons. To understand the function, we have to know how space and time works. So, first dimension, point. The second dimension appears to be a line, like this, but it is a square when we rotate it. The third dimension, where you exist, has height, width, and depth. The fourth dimension is how we experience the third, and it is an additional cube connected to our original three-dimensional cube. To experience the true nature of these shapes, they have to be moving, or they just look like weird lines. You must pay a certain amount of time to have an experience in the third dimension. Unfolding the cube, we get a cross. Christ symbolizes the crucifixion of consciousness into the physical. To have a human experience, you have to tune out almost everything else in reality. We only experience a certain spectrum of things. This is called the veil of Isis. It's the stimulus in nature that we are tuned to perceive. This takes one main consciousness and fractalizes it into the consciousness that governs your body. This governing consciousness allows you to move your own hand, but not worry about controlling your heartbeat. It is your individual experience here. This allows the brain to process the experience of everything through time. The cube of you connected to the hypercube of time is your life or experience here. Unfolding it, we get something that should look very similar. The cathedral is an unfolded hypercube or tesseract. This architectural layout is called cruciform. It is a material structure that reflects space-time, and that's where the magic happens. It's called the cryptoporticus, or crypt. An initiate would get in something like that after consuming a psychoactive substance. The distributed consciousness in the body gets focused in the mind. Instead of the body resonating with the physical world through the senses, the mind mirrors the architecture of the universe and resonates with that. This can produce what is described as an out-of-body experience. With the mind free to travel outside of the physical body, you can explore the dimensions outside of time. But I'm sure you're thinking of this problem: what if I get lost? Luckily, all proper cathedrals have these. The pipe organ would play soothing, harmonious tones so that the person having the out-of-body experience would still be able to recognize that they had a body because they could hear the music. This is because the ear canal is connected to the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is connected to every vital organ in your body. This is why you jump when you hear a loud noise. When you get recubed, you would debrief your experience, tell what you learned, and you would become part of the order. This video is actually just 4 pages out of my new book. If you read my previous book, this probably made a lot more sense to you. If you love esoteric knowledge, it is a compilation of all that. You can find it in the link in my bio or on baseforge.us.
84% of kids have the gene mutation you were talking about. They can't process folic acid. And what do we give kids before they go off to school in the morning? We fill them up with folic acid. Folic acid is like cocaine for a 6-year-old with that gene mutation. It makes their mind race.
And when they can't process it, what happens?
It's a full contact sport to get them in the car to go to school. They get to school and the teacher calls home and says, hey, Johnny can't pay attention. He's disruptive. He doesn't follow directions. And we need to bring in the Ritalin to solve this issue, because they believe that if the mind is racing, you should put an amphetamine into the bloodstream to race the central nervous system to match the pace of the mind. But we created this situation. We created it by overstimulating the mind with folic acid that the kid can't break down. You strip the folic acid out of their diets, the Pop-Tarts, the white flour, white rice, white bread, white pasta,
everything they're eating.
It goes right back to normal.
A recent study came out looking at ultra-processed food consumption of our children in the United States. This was published in JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association. They looked at food consumption of our children aged 2 to 19 for about 20 years. In 1999, the average American child's diet was 61% ultra-processed food, already beating out American adults. But by 2018, the average American child's diet is now close to 70% ultra-processed foods.
Wow.
What are the outcomes that we're seeing? Skyrocketing rates of obesity in our children, skyrocketing rates of diabetes, lifestyle-induced type 2 diabetes in our children, significant degrees of early onset of heart disease in our children, mental health epidemics. The list goes on and on and on. I grew up in this in the 80s. It was revolutionary when Pop-Tarts came out. All right. I was there popping out of the toaster and I got this like rectangular breakfast ready for me. But we've got all these ultra processed foods. This was just how it was. We didn't realize that our culture was now programming us to eat ultra processed fake foods. Of course, we can get better. If we're just stepping away or reducing the amount of ultra processed foods that we're consuming, we're going to see improvements in our health.
America's food is banned in 30 countries. The food is killing people. Oh yeah, it's definitely killing people. If somebody were to buy a bag of Lay's potato chips versus buying it in Europe and look at the ingredients, they're totally different. They will make the healthier version for another country. There's over 10,000 food chemicals that are allowed in the American population or food system that aren't allowed in other countries. It makes it easier for food companies, gives them longer shelf life because they're putting so many chemicals in it. So anytime we lobby for healthier food choices in our school systems, in our neighborhoods, the food industry is going right behind them with billions and millions of dollars saying, no, we can't do that.
You look at who owns CNBC, who owns Fox, who owns CNN. At the top of the shareholder list, you have Vanguard and BlackRock. Then you look at the manufacturers of the jabs. Okay, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna. Who are the top shareholders of those companies? Vanguard and BlackRock. Now you look at the flight companies that banned all flights. No flights unless you're taken care of. Who are the top shareholders? Vanguard, BlackRock. You look at the food. Okay, who are the top shareholders of all this junk food? Vanguard and BlackRock. So it's this ecosystem of how to print butterflies out of thin air. So the media is controlled, the food is controlled, the narrative is controlled, the transportation is controlled. Who owns Meta? Who owns Snapchat? Who owns, well, used to be, but still kind of does, Twitter? Who owns Google? They're pushing the same narrative the media is pushing. Oh, it's the same company as BlackRock, it's Vanguard. Profit-driven companies. So this idea of breakfast, right? Edward Bernays, cigarettes, Edward Bernays, is the exact same play, but at a macro global scale at this point. Why? Because they have access to the internet and the distribution of information is a lot more simple and effective at a mass viral scale as opposed to newspaper and billboards like it used to be back in the day.
1 gram of DNA can hold over 433 petabytes of data. So they said, wait a minute, this is crazy. So Microsoft started experimenting with this too. So they were able to take data, zeros and ones, convert it into A's, C's, T's, and G's, which is what read-write is on our DNA, and then put the data in a volume on DNA, and then take the data from the DNA and move it back into, from A's, C's, T's, and G's into zeros and ones and put it back on another computer. So now they have made a working DNA hard drive, which now you can store immense amount of information. They estimate that one human body can store 13.5 billion years of data. And how old is the universe?
I have no idea.
13.5 billion years. Everything that exists, everything that's happened since the beginning of time is stored inside of your individual body and mine as well.
I don't even know what to say to that.
It's massive. We're a walking universal library. We are the way for the universe to figure out and explore the third dimension and understand what it's like to be and live in the third dimension as every individual living thing. And we're all connected through this quantum entanglement. Every single thing that exists is all connected, still connected. Space is an illusion, distance is an illusion, separation is all an illusion.
Okay, so look, listen to me. I'm sitting in my house, right? You see me make a video of somebody or something in the sun. It's a clear day. It's after April the 8th, after the eclipse. So I'm coming out here to film this one more again. There he is. It's a man or something walking in the midst of the sun. You see this? He's right there on top. I'm not moving this camera. He's right there on the top. Hold up. Let me come down and make sure I get this as best I can. This is third time. And as you can see, he's right there on the top, walking in the midst of the sun. This is my third time catching it. It is
What? What was that? You guys. I got that. What was that? You guys. I got that. What? What was that?
You have no idea. Do you know who that is? What that is? And what that has to do with the end of the world? If you don't believe in the Antichrist, and I don't have a religion, you will by the end of this video. This man existed. This is a real person right here. This is the spiritual, symbolic representation for the spirit
of the Antichrist on earth. Oh yeah, the Antichrist already came. The damage has already been done. The world already ended. And those who watch this video until the very end, you'll have an understanding that many people simply cannot. This is a pope, and his name is Romanus Pontifex. I'm probably mispronouncing that. But this is the pope who was the physical embodiment of his time of the white horseman. Remember, the white horseman is in Revelations. The white horseman is said to be the conqueror. The white horseman is released in the first seal. And when this being comes on the earth, you will see conquering on the earth like you've never seen before. Now, first you got to understand what a spirit actually is. A spirit is not a ghost. A spirit is very real. First of all, I'm not saying that ghosts aren't real. Spirits are a personality or a pattern that does not need a physical embodiment in order to interact or be sensed by things around it. That's why you hear people say school spirit. Or you say that somebody's spirit is still here. I can feel your spirit in the room even when you're not. Or I felt the absence of your spirit. Archetypes are spirit. That's why you see certain entities and characters always coming up in every single story you read. But I digress. Not the Catholics, but the elites within the Catholic Church were the embodiment of the Antichrist. And they were the embodiment of the white horseman. Let me break this down. The white horseman was always supposed to be the Antichrist. If you read Revelations, you can tell. The white horseman conquers the world in a way that's never been conquered before. And the Antichrist acts like he's Christ, and he comes in the name of Christ, though he is not. This Pope was the one who sanctioned colonialism and slavery worldwide. Not just of black people, of all people. And can you guess what was the name of the first slave ship? I want you to write that below, and it will all make sense to you. And when these Catholics came to enslave people, they came and said that they come in the name of Christ, and that they are here to bring you to heaven, and they will put them in ships and take them to slavery. It gets deeper. Who were the people who killed Christ? The Romans, right? Who were the people who adopted the story of Christ to control their people? The Roman Empire, right? That happened with the Council of Nicaea. Go look it up. Who changed their entire image, right? Who claimed to no longer be a nation of kings, but instead of Christ figures, who used Christianity to conquer the world. That was the Catholic Church, people. Come on, know your history. Has there ever been a time where a small group of people have conquered the entire planet? The entire elite Western body conquered the entire planet under the name of Christ? That is the job of the white horseman. There's a book that breaks this down even better. It's called FAMS, Food, Forest, Foraging, Hunting, Anti-Fragile Modern Society. You'll see it right here, but there's also a free version. It's the audio version. It's in a link at the top of the page. By page 40 in the book, you'll have a full understanding of what I'm talking about, but the book is actually bigger than that. You have to understand that the matrix, the medium or structure in which you develop in this shadow matrix, the great devourer, Babylon, is what you live in today. And you don't need, I don't have a religion, by the way. I'm not here to make you believe in Christianity, Islam, Judaism, any of that. I'm just here to give you the truth and give you a way out the matrix. This book shows you the way out the matrix and back to the Garden of Eden. We're meant to be technologically advanced hunter-gatherers, fully one with nature and God. But they have brainwashed you about hunter-gatherers, not telling you that hunter-gatherers are the one who created the Amazon rainforest. They don't tell you that they're the people who build some of those ancient monuments that you look at. They don't tell you that these people are way healthier than us. They don't tell you that they have an almost 0% depression rate, pretty much zero. They don't tell you that these people are living well beyond 80 years old. Why don't they tell you? Because hunter-gatherers are completely independent. And this system, this matrix needs you to depend on it. It needs you to work those jobs that you hate working, paying this mortgage, the rent. It does not want you to be free, but this book allows you to get that freedom. Again, the free version is the audio version. It's in the link at the top of the page, or the physical copy is right here. I love you all. Peace.
If a person would sit down and let their body relax, totally relax, and then start to visualize in their mind, see themselves the way they want to see themselves. See how you'd like to live your life. See yourself living it that way. Take that picture and describe it. Write it out in the present tense. I am so happy now that I see myself, and write it out. Start to read it, and read it, and read it, and read it every day. Carry it around and keep reading it. The one point that all the great teachers, all down through history, have all agreed on, they've been in complete unanimous agreement on it, we become what we think about. A lot of people will laugh at this and say, that doesn't make any sense. Now, it may be fantasy at first, it might even appear to us as being a lie. But if if you read it often enough, you'll start to believe it.
So our thoughts control our actions.
Our thoughts control our feelings.
Okay.
Our feelings control our actions.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.